So the three games I play the most right now are Apex Legends, League of Legends, and Shadowverse. But in the last 2 weeks, I haven't even touched any of those games. All because I decided that I would try one particular game, Hollow Knight. In the past, I've always thought of Hollow Knight as another typical indie game that I would play for 90 minutes, get bored of it, and then drop it to rot on my Steam library for the rest of eternity. But the reality? After spending about 30 hours to beat the game and complete almost everything that the game has to offer, I can assure you that I was wrong because Hollow Knight has to be one of the best games I've played this year. And no, I didn't make this video to make you buy the game and play it as well. Instead, I will explain the reasons why you would want to play Hollow Knight, and I'll let you as the viewer of this video make that decision on your own. So without further ado, let's begin. The graphics of Hollow Knight is nothing but excellent. In contrast to a game like Dark Souls where the game looks very realistic and detailed, Hollow Knight's graphic design is a lot more cartoony. Personally, I love the cartoony graphic design of the game, since the simple coloring and thick borders allow your eyes to grasp the images better and strain less on longer sessions of gameplay. The navigation system of the game is also done excellently as the developers tend to put visual cues to help direct players in the right direction. A pattern they like to do is make important objects more visually emphasized. The developers intentionally made this lever shine while everything around it doesn't, so the player's eyes are more drawn to it, indicating that levers are important. The entire kingdom also has signs like these throughout each area, which can also help the player understand that the upcoming room is a stack station. The variety in color schemes for each biome also makes for a great experience, because not only is it there for lore purposes, but set variation can please the human eyes since it helps tremendously to fight the sense of boredom. Each time you enter a new area for the first time, there's just this sense of astonishment that appears. Whether it would be amazement or fear, you can't help but appreciate the details that developers have put into every single area. Being a Metroidvania game, the game has a lot of exploration to do. Half of the time that you'll spend in this game will simply be spent exploring new areas. It's one of the sparkles in this game, because there's just something more special about figuring out where the next area is supposed to be by yourself, rather than just clicking at an image that the game gives to you and being teleported to the stage right away. When you started playing, you might meet this fella who's blocking the path to the left, and there's literally nothing you can do about them. However, after getting your first spell, the game deliberately puts you into a fight with an identical opponent. This lets you know that you're finally able to do something about that fat ass that was blocking you earlier, so you go there and start blasting him with your new spell, and voila! You've unlocked yourself a new area. Maybe there's this one ledge that you can't jump through, but once you got the dash power up, you try to jump dash over it and congratulations, you've made it through the fungal wastes. This whole process of unlocking a new area can feel more rewarding than it actually is, because all the effort you did makes the whole discovery feel like an achievement that you did on your own. But sometimes this process isn't so easy to figure out. Sometimes you might have to look through the entire crossroads first before figuring out that the next area's location is just right here. Or maybe after finishing Green Path, you find yourself clueless, not knowing what you're supposed to do next. Just in case you've played the game and you're stuck on a certain point like this, don't worry. There are plenty of walkthrough guides online that can help you break this wall you're dealing with. And even if you looked up a guide to find a certain area, you still did the entire in-game execution all by yourself. Besides, there are so many beautiful areas in this game just waiting for you to explore them all. The combat system is where Hollow Knight shines. You start the game as a knight who only has the capability of swinging a broken nail as a term of self-defense. And being forced into melee combat means you'll have to take risky positions every time you want to attack. However, as you progress through the game, you'll unlock more abilities like fireballs, dashes, and wall jumps, which can either help you to explore new areas which you couldn't get to before, or it can even assist you in the middle of combat. Part of the beauty of Hollow Knight is seeing how you start off in a very weak state, yet as you venture through the game, you start to feel how much more powerful you've become. You will also find a lot of charms, which are trinkets that can be equipped to gain certain effects. The effects can go from helping you collect money easier, to increasing the length of your nail to help you get easier footsies in combat. This is where players have room to experiment, to try out different ideas, and express themselves in whichever playstyle they prefer to help them in their adventure. And as bosses are increasing in difficulty, from big fat dude jumping around to literally Toho, some of these charms can help you a lot during these tough fights. The difficulty of Hollow Knight is no joke. The game doesn't have a difficulty option that allows you to have an easier time. Instead, it just gives you a base difficulty and says, take it or leave it. Fortunately, set difficulty can be made easier by going through the right routes. Kind of like how doing side missions in RPGs can make the game a lot easier. For example, the Dung Defender might be quite the challenge for a lot of newer players, but if you have the Desolate Dive ability unlocked prior, you can use that ability to make the fight much easier, since you can stagger the Dung Defender every time he's underground. You'll have a much easier time getting through this section with a wall jump rather than having to downstrike the spikes with precision. Oh yeah, just as a heads up though, because I haven't mentioned it before, the bosses in this game are freaking ruthless. Every single one of them has its own unique attack patterns that you'll have to learn to dodge at some point, otherwise you'll die. A lot. It's not that bosses being hard is a bad thing though. In fact, part of the reason some of the game's bosses are designed to be bigger than you is to emphasize that you as the player are the ones at a disadvantage. First of all, making physical contact with them straight up deals damage to you, and not only do you have to dodge their attacks, but you also have to find ways to punish them for every attack. You also can only take so many hits before dying, meaning there's only so much room for mistakes. But that's also what makes every boss victory that much more satisfying to pull off. Realizing how you died to Hornet 7 times earlier and finally defeating her is a clear sign that you as a player are improving. Okay, let's just say it like this. Dying is a part of the process to completion. So if you aren't ready to die a lot, then maybe it's not the game for you. But if you're someone who's been continuously getting your ass slain on Dark Souls to the point of seeing this picture in your head every time you try to sleep at night, then I'd say you're more than capable enough to beat Hollow Knight. Honestly, if you're asking me whether Hollow Knight is worth your time or money, I'd say it's more than just worth it for both aspects. An average person can take about 30 to 40 hours to finish the base game and get the true ending. But even after the credits roll, your journey in this game is still not over yet. The Grim Troop and the Godmaster DLC's content can last for about 20 more hours. And even after beating what most people consider to be the hardest challenge of the game, there's still a lot more to do in the world of Hallowness. If watching this video made you somewhat interested in Hollow Knight, but you still have a few doubts and worries in your head, feel free to leave any questions in the comment section down below, and I'll try my best to answer the question for you and help you decide on whether you should or shouldn't buy Hollow Knight. Thanks for watching, my name is Tedo, and Hollow Knight is the best Metroidvania game I've ever played in my life.